Hey everybody, it's Burly Teacher coming at you with another episode here. This week's video is going to be quite a bit different. It's going to be mostly talking. I know my videos oftentimes have a lot of drone stuff, a lot of stuff about Whitmer, sports, maybe some fun things, some things I'm doing around the house. But this week's going to be all talking. I want to apologize also for not getting my videos out on Wednesdays like I've been doing in the past. It just it didn't work out this week. Was sort of feeling a little bit under the weather. So what is this week's topic? This is a vlog that I've been debating on doing for such a long period of time. Just really haven't taken the steps to do it. And like most of my vlogs, not much is planned out as far as how it's going to go. It's sort of all coming up organically. So this week's vlog is talking about my wife Sarah and I's sort of foray into trying to become parents. So I'm sort of going to title this vlog, Life Isn't Fair. So, life isn't fair. I think that's cliche. A lot of people have always heard that. I think that's something teachers always tell students. I think that's something parents always tell their kids. I think that's something coaches always tell their athletes. It's easy, but I want to sort of go into a big long story. It might take a couple episodes for this full story to come out, so hopefully it's something that I can do eloquently and something that I can do where it makes sense. Okay, so Sarah and I will have been married for 7 years coming up this June. And for the first, couple years of any marriage, sort of a rite of passage in this country of being married is that you get to have a kid and you raise a family. I think everybody that gets married, for the most part, starts out with, that being the intentions of the marriage, that you want to bring a kid into this life, and you want to raise them in your image and, the image of your parents and, of Sarah's parents, and, we want to, honor that, we had all the hope that was going to happen, but after, I may have the years not completely correct. Sarah can correct me if I'm wrong here, but about 2 years in, we started realizing that, why isn't it happening? What are we doing wrong? Making a really long story short, we went and both got tested, found out that there were some issues. We took care of it, did a bunch of fertility, paid thousands of dollars. Sarah had to go on all kinds of, shots that would help things happen. It was a long process of going to see doctors and a fertility specialist and money here and money there. And we did get pregnant. We got pregnant twice successfully. Each time sort of ended in a miscarriage, which was really unfortunate and very, trying and difficult for any female that has to go through a miscarriage, especially Sarah, since, we were trying so hard to have a kid. I'm not going to go into the specifics of how the miscarriage happened, but the second miscarriage, they called an ectopic pregnancy. I think we were 11 months pregnant at that time, and she started feeling really bad. It was actually on her birthday, I believe, and she started having really intense stomach pains, really bad, didn't get any better, so we went to the hospital. Making a long story short, they did a bunch of tests, and through those blood work and those tests, we found out that she was pregnant. Fertility doctor came in, that next day and that night, and basically said that we had about a 20% chance of getting pregnant in the beginning, right before we started fertility, and miscarriage pretty much took that down to less than 10%, and the doctor pretty much said that IVF is your only chance. So we were stuck with a major decision. What do we do? Do we fork out the $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 for IVF? If IVF doesn't work, you're not guaranteed, you don't get a refund, so you'd have to come up with another. We could, these are options in our head at the time. We could do IVF, which isn't guaranteed. We could do a private adoption, which is, $23,000, $30,000. I believe the average cost of private adoption in Michigan is $23,000 to basically buy a kid. And I'm not, anybody that has gone through private adoption, I'm not faulting them. And the other option was we could straight adopt, and we thought about that. And then we started talking to agencies. And in talking with those agencies, we both sort of felt like, having been told by these agencies that you get a higher likelihood of being able to adopt a younger kid quicker if you decide to foster. And I think that's where some of the problems started going wrong in hindsight, where we sort of listened to maybe the agencies a little bit too much. And I want to sort of take a step back and sort of pause here. Obviously, some of my students that know this story, because this is the story that I tell at the beginning of every school year, so they can sort of know our history. And I apologize to some of those students that I had for during those years when all of this stuff was happening. There were some years where I think I was pretty angry and pretty upset. Not upset that we couldn't have kids, upset that I sort of felt misled, right? A lot of people that go into fostering to adopt or just fostering to begin with have already had their own biological kids, right? So they don't have that like sort of pit in their belly to try and, have a kid. They've already had their own biological kids. So they go into it with a little bit different frame of mind. So anybody that, Sarah and I talked to and that talked to us, since they know we went through fostering, we always make sure to tell them that our frame of reference is a little biased because we came into this really wanting to have kids, and we just decided that we didn't want to spend $15,000-$20,000 and put ourselves in financial debt to try and have a kid. I know a lot of people may think that's silly, but I don't think that you should put your life into debt to have something that most people think is a right. And making a long story short, I guess what we realized out of this, that having a kid is not really a right, it's a privilege. And that's just something that we've sort of had to get used to, something that we've had to, be okay with, and, sort of go from there. So I'm sort of going to call this the end of part one of who knows how many parts. We could go on for days, we could go on for hours and talking about everything, but I want to do this in a way that doesn't make us sound like we're whining, doesn't make us sound like we're victims. As in life, everything's a learning experience, and unfortunately, our experience was one that we could probably write a book over. A lot of people think we probably should, and I want to make it clear that I'm not trying to be the spokesperson for private adoption or fostering, or fostering to adopt, or infertility, or any of that stuff. I'm just trying to share our story. So come back, check back for part 2 and 3 and 4, however long it's going to take. So next we're going to sort of delve into the decision we made, and then sort of all the ramifications of that. So as always, rather than just taking our word for it, come down and sit and talk with Sarah and I. If this is something you're interested in doing, we can at least give our opinions on this. And we're about a year removed from the kids having gone back, and so but we're not so angry anymore. We're not, obviously we're always going to be emotional, but we're a little bit more clear-headed to have conversations about this. So, hopefully you learned something, hopefully you enjoyed this, and if you do want to talk, just, give us a call, give us an email. We'd be glad to sit down and talk to people about our experiences. So, Burly Teacher Shout Out of the Week goes to all of the track athletes and baseball players and softball players that have been brave in the cold, if their coach has been making them go outside, or if they've been stuck inside. So hopefully the weather turns around, but I think I told most of the track athletes and baseball and softball players in my class that count on having some spring snowstorms. So Burly Teacher out. Catch you guys next week. See ya.